It's Tuesday, February 1st, and the year is flying by, even though I haven't done anything exciting this year except manage to stay healthy. And I didn't even shovel the snow the other day. My grandson and my son came over and did the job for me. I guess they're worried about me because I'm getting a little bit over the hill, so to speak. And I'm the kind of guy that if he's out there shoveling, he could have a heart attack, right? So they came over to bail me out. But I want to talk today about some drug price that I read about and about the fact that we did get an increase in our Social Security of 5-point-something%. But then I look at this and I see that Medicare has now increased their premiums by 15%. And so I noticed this article that Xavier Becerra, who is our Secretary of Health and Human Services, has asked the country's Medicare program to reassess its 2022 premium hikes. That's the 15% I just mentioned. And the reason that he's asking for them to reassess is because Biogen Incorporated cut the price of its Alzheimer's drug by about half. And that's a big cut. So I'm saying, that's a big cut, but half of what? Well, it's half of $56,000, which means you only have to pay $28,000 if you happen to get involved with this Alzheimer's drug. And apparently this drug, which is called Aduheim, very strange name for a drug, I think. This drug is given in monthly doses of an infusion, they call it. You get this infusion monthly, and it helps cut down the effects of Alzheimer's. Now, Alzheimer's is a hideous disease. It's probably the worst disease we have running loose in this country. But in any event, I don't know how they come up with a cost of $56,000, and now they cut it to $28,000. And that's $28,000 if you're an average weight person. I guess if you're not average weight, and I don't know what that really means, but if you're not average weight, maybe it would only cost you $26,000 or $25,000. And if you were overweight, if you were an above average weight, it might cost you $30,000 or $35,000. So it's very, shaky. I can't figure out how they decide to price it, but I guess it's priced on the amount, the drug that you would get infused. If you were heavier, you might need more drug, and if you were lighter, you have less drug. But this brings to mind the whole issue that there was supposed to be something put into our Medicare proposals that we were going to be able to negotiate drugs, that Medicare was going to be able to negotiate the cost of drugs. Well, that never really happened. It came about and the pharmaceutical companies went on a rampage, They had plenty of money to spend and hire the best lawyers to fight this thing, and they have managed to stymie the effort that was going to attempt to allow Medicare to negotiate drugs. Now, why shouldn't Medicare be able to negotiate drug prices? What's wrong with that? Because in my investigations into this topic several times over the past few years, nobody really knows what it costs to develop a drug, because that's very, very subjective, so to speak. You could have 10 people working in the laboratory, and one of them is working on this drug, so that's the cost of his labor and everything, and the materials, etc., etc. But nobody really knows how many people are working to develop a drug or how many hours it took them. I don't think that anybody asked that question. Certainly if I was negotiating for a price cut, I would want to see why you're charging me so much. And let's face it, developing drugs is a very dicey business. Because what happens if you spend a couple of years and you fail? Well, you write that off. That's a tax deduction. So we shouldn't be we shouldn't be paying anything for the cost of the failure because they got a tax deduction on most of it. And there's many other things that are really wacky about trying to pin down the drug companies on the pricing. Besides them keeping the cost all to themselves, what about all the advertising they pay for? They put a drug out, and maybe it costs them $10 million or $20 million or even $100 million to develop it. But now they got to sell it. So now they spend another $100 million on TV, on advertising. Do you think that we should pay the advertising costs of these drugs? I don't think so. I'm tired of watching them. Between the lawyers on the air and the advertising drugs, there's not much else to see. There's not many other ads going on. Every time I turn around, there's an ad. And there's always a byline in this ad that says, check and make sure that you're not allergic to this or that, because this drug won't work properly. So they have to not only advertise, they have to give you a whole medical history reference in order for you to buy this drug from a drugstore if you choose to buy it. It's ridiculous. So why is this drug, Aduheim, or whatever the real name of it is, going to cost $28,000 a year, down from $56,000 a year? Well, they're probably not advertising this drug on TV much. I haven't seen any ads for it. So if they're not advertising, maybe that's why they can cut the cost of the drug. But it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that we cannot get reasonably priced drugs in this country. We can get aspirin. We're okay with aspirin. But we're not okay with any drug that really means anything. And the cancer drugs cost thousands of dollars a month. We had a gentleman that was working for us, and unfortunately he passed away because he had some brain tumors. But when we saw the medical bills, because we were paying the premiums on his health care and everything, and they were ridiculous, thousands and thousands of dollars. But of course it's life or death, so people pay it. But it was a fortune, and it's just not right. It's not right if other countries can provide the same care for much less. So I don't understand how we're going to ever get together and get this part of our thing straightened out. Now, this is not a high priority thing right now because we got so many other things on the table. But it's just amazing. It's just amazing that we're paying such high prices for drugs. So I'll leave it at that. It's another rip-off of the American public. Have a great day. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.